Okay. Good morning. I'd like to call the DW meeting to order. Thank you, Sam, for sitting in and making the forum.
I think that's true.
Okay, I'll call finance to order. Do we have a quorum?
Yeah.
All right, we're good to go.
First business is to accept the minutes of the August 31st meeting. Motion by Sam, second by O'Brien.
Send it, Baker.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We got a few business things to get through first, sewer district. Yeah. Looks like a few things you want to go over before you start the budget.
Sure, yep, the two of the items on our agenda, it's 1 and 5, I'll talk about them together, they're pretty much the same. Setup, there are two of the projects we have going on in the district, and both of those projects are going to be funded by the builder. One of them is the CHPE energy line going from Canada down to New York City, so they are paying for any engineering costs, legal fees. Same thing with Irving Tissue. They're doing an expansion of one of their buildings, relocating the line, and they're going to pay for all of the district costs. So to do so, we're going to set up an escrow account for both projects. They'll be funded by the entity. So I'm just making everybody aware of that today. Number two, we've had a position open for about a year now. It's a supervisor of our pump stations and sewer maintenance. It's really the supervisor position for our collection guys. For a very long time, we haven't had many. Actually, we've had one applicant, it was internal. We haven't had any qualified applicants come in from the outside, so I would like to increase the grade on that from 19 to 22 and an attempt to attract more applicants. Very important position. And a supervisor out on the roads. And we already have projects rolling out on the roads, and there's more coming. So I hope.
Have you worked with Danielle on this?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Danielle's aware of everything going on with this. And the bottom line is it's been open for a year and haven't any interest at all.
Now, are you changing the qualifications at the same time or no?
The qualifications were already lowered, I understanding before I.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to raise it, if you were gonna give more money. If you want something to work out or.
Well, I mean, I think the qualifications are okay, but I'm gonna set the bar high. Hopefully we get a bunch of applicants then. Yeah, I mean, if we get a bunch of applicants who are barely meeting the qualifications, then maybe this. Yeah, all right.
Well, it's a
And you wanted this change to happen immediately, not
Yeah.
after the new year, and you have money in your budget to cover the increase probably.
Yeah,
you
because
have
the
vacant.
position hasn't been filled
Okay.
yet.
Thank you.
what's the change? What's the dollar change?
It's grade 19 to 22, I believe it's. We're $8,000 to $10,000 change. I'll be exactly that on the bottom. Somewhere right around that.
Grade 19 to 22. He said 8 to 10,000, is that about right?
Sure.
Well,
I don't have that memorized.
Is that short?
I think,
You would change it.
yes, you know,
I think that Danielle has to make sure she changes the job qualifications to match the grade, doesn't she?
Well, no, the qualifications are based on the duties, right, and the job, so that's on the job description, but what is paid to the employee is determined by the board. So it does not have to be changed based on what you were indicating.
Personnel.
Yep.
Move to personnel, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Chairman?
Yeah.
Do we have enough of a quorum for public works?
I'm not sure.
I think I have, we're one short, I think.
Oh, we are one short.
Oh, Deb thought we were ready to go.
We did 4, this is the 9-man committee.
Okay.
Yep.
Guess we can't do any motion then.
Well, we expect Cassie to come.
We
right?
can now.
Yeah, you are now. There you go. Here, look at that.
There we go.
Just on time.
The cavalry.
Timing was perfect. Sorry, I didn't see you go up the stairs.
Say aye, Daryl. Say aye.
Aye.
There we go. We're done.
Really should fill in what it was before.
It's not government work.
It's the base road.
Moving grade 19 to 22 first.
Deb, do you want to revote on the minutes also, or are you good with that?
You're good. Minutes approved as accepted.
Stand there. Good to go?
Well, we probably should fill Mr. Wilson in on what he said.
Sure.
Oh, you just did, okay, all right, we're good to go.
All right. Number 3, it's a intermunicipal agreement for sewer district 1. We already had an existing agreement. We just extended the district to take over the Kingsbury parcels. So the existing agreement just needs to be amended to basically take out Kingsbury and put in sewer district, Washington County Sewer District 1. Most of the wording. Pretty straightforward.
Dave,
Kevin, could you change my name to my legal name to David, from Dave to David? On the agreement when you know.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think it's page, you change it, David, legal name.
Okay.
If I call you David,
yes.
Let's go about it.
I have a huge quibble with this.
Sure. Thank you, David.
ever say aye?
Because I don't think that David O'Brien should be first, I think the chairman of the board should be first. I really don't give a shit.
Rob Baker.
Call it Bob if you want.
Rob.
Can you make it 10 minutes?
It's Rob.
Deb, what we need motion to move this. So the full board, motion by Sam, there's second by Mr. Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Think you have one more.
I think there might be 2 more.
Okay.
Yep. Number 4, we have been awarded a $30,000 DEC NPS planning grant. This was applied for by my predecessor. A $30,000 grant, $3,000 local match. The idea is to look at a certain sewer shed within the district and from a green infrastructure standpoint, do a study on what can be done within that area to separate sewers or whatever comes on the idea of green infrastructure. And it's 93% grant, 3,000 local match, so good money.
So,
Second.
The motion, this will go to finance, correct? Motion to go to finance and second, Bob.
Just a question on it, you got an engineer in mind to do this, who's gonna do it?
We'd have to go out to RFP or RFQ, choose an engineer.
That seemed like a kind of a low contract number for.
Yeah, it's just a
That level of
study, it's pretty much a study is the way it's, engineers would look at it, so.
I understand, it just seemed like kind of a low number.
The threshold might be below, I think, again, if the professional services, 20.
The 20, yeah.
Whoops.
All right, well, whatever.
But you might get interest just, because it's a stepping stone towards bigger project.
Is to look for a relief point for stormwater and use green infrastructure. Yeah, I understand what it is, it seems like might not get too many bids on that. Level.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Last point, we have a district-owned parcel in sewer district 1, is where the old sewer plant was. We've had interest from a buyer to purchase that property. I talked to the commissioners, we're all on board, we want to first surplus it and then auction it with a minimum bid set at the the assessed value, I'm sorry. So anything over that would be great, but that's kind of where we're gonna start, and I have it on good word that we'll get at least that, so.
What's the system?
43,000 and change, it's got 2.2 acres, I think 20,000.
Just having gone through selling a municipal property and the steps and the processes. A lot of municipal properties which are tax exempt aren't really assessed properly because the assessor doesn't care what it is because there's no taxes on it. And we were required to get a professional appraisal in order to come into compliance to sell what we had to sell. Just throwing that out there.
And it's appraised at 20,000 acres. Which I think is reasonable.
You have a written appraisal from somebody?
Well, it's just, it's 2 point. Sorry, assess, not appraised.
No,
It's-
we
That's
don't
what I'm
have,
saying.
we don't have.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
We're just.
the comptroller could come back and ask,
real property. So,
that, but that's irrelevant.
towns are different. 215 says, and the county law says, properties surplus and sold, the total doctrines to the highest bidder. That's all it says. We don't have to do the referendums and all that. You guys have way more hula hoops than you have jump through. So, and the board also has the right to reject the bid. So, I just put it out there and make a new tax auction, put it out there. And see what happens. You like it? You like it? I mean, I would never use the assessed value as a target. I would say put it out there and see what you get. I mean, to set a reserve or whatever you want. I'm not sure I have any guys do. Remember that. First, you have to declare.
We do or they do?
You do, they already did, but we hold the land in trust for the sewer district, is the county, so. It's the county, we have to do that.
We declared surplus, do we have to move it to any other committee or to the board?
No, the board would have to, yeah, we'd have to do the board. And then we'd have to include the bid today too, and I think Al, we have something else coming up. Right, so we throw it in the other grants on property that we have, do it at the same time.
But, you know,
Matt's point. How do you know if it's a good bid? If you don't have a price?
You raise it if you want to, send it out.
Yeah, but I think Matt's making a good point.
is there a motion to,
Ship it on that. There were properties sold over there for the same dollar value per acre with comparative in the past year. That was $25,000 an acre. That's where they sold it.
to declare it surplus or? Here, second. Second by, again. Any more discussion on it? All in favor, aye? Oh. Okay, you ready to jump into your budget discussion?
Sure,
What did you say, Brad? I'm sorry.
107. Thank you.
yes, so I don't really know the format's my first year. If you want me to go through it, you want me to just explain any major changes, I mean, there really aren't any compared to prior years. I would say, you know, we're budgeting an attempt to get back to full staffing, which is very hard to achieve down there. We haven't got any applicants in any of our vacancies.
3% rate increases in comments.
I'm sorry, no, it's a 5%.
Oh, it's such.
5% rate increase.
Do these numbers indicate the 3 or 5?
These indicate the 5, yeah.
Are you looking at sewer 1 or sewer 2?
We're at sewer one.
I'm sorry.
You don't know, there's really no way to say what the rate increase will be. Because the rate structure is completely different next year versus existing. Most likely costs will go up, but there's also gonna be debt associated at some point next year with sewer 1. There's next year. There are increased expenses in sewer one. Because we're gonna need to be on top of the maintenance. Sewer two is reimbursed for that maintenance.
You have to set a rate in order to.
Yeah, but we got, right, right, but we've got that, now we're gonna break down, it's gonna be a unit charge.
Okay.
Okay, so. And we haven't gotten Queensbury's water rates yet. Nothing drastic change there. We also need the benefit tax.
So, yeah, I apologize, I was over in the sewer too, sewer one is. The whole entire rate structure is changing. Square footage type rate structure to a dwelling, unit rate structure.
So is sewer one correct at 3% increase? So is sewer one correct at 3% increase?
No,
No.
it's not.
It is 5, so.
Well, we don't know exactly what it is.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
all right.
There's no way to compare a rate increase and changing the way you're assessing.
Yeah.
charges.
Full before that.
Absolutely, Chair.
Pretty much, some people might increase, some people might decrease. Otherwise, so.
The budget is 37.49%.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't change the format.
So if there's any other questions on sewer one, the first. Your pages might be different,
Page 109 starts through to 2.
sewer two is a 5% rate increase. There's no. Major changes as far as expenses, revenues are. Pretty much the same. There is one. Right at the end, there is one change at the end, I'll talk about when we get there. Benefits. Went up, of course, I'm sure everybody saw that. I was able to shave here and there, on some of the maintenance aspects, because we have a lot of new equipment. And we're able to lower some of the maintenance costs. Same thing with overtime, so it's kind of go hand in hand, old equipment, higher maintenance leads to more overtime. So we were able to. Took it down. All in all, with budgeting, $302,000 shortfall deficit. It sounds like a large number, but compared to prior years, it's kind of in par. With a fully staffed budget, we haven't been able to achieve.
Still haven't been able to achieve.
Yeah, we're still trying out kind of the item earlier. There is one change to the capital part of the budget. Al, I haven't talked to you about this. So apologize, but we're budgeting for a new jetting machine. It's a big piece of equipment that goes through the manholes and cleans out the sewer lines. Ours was in very rough shape, but we thought had all kinds of electrical issues. We actually had somebody specialized come in and they were able to get it back to what they say is perfect working order. So we're not gonna budget for a new jetting machine as of now. That'll be around $90,000 that comes out of our capital expense. Capital equipment purchase.
You're taking 100 down to 10.
Yeah. Yeah, and that just resolved last week, so I'm not talking about that yet.
What was the cost to repair?
A couple thousand. I don't think we got the actual. See that was, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Those guys are cheap. Yeah.
But we didn't have to haul it to them either.
They can do it, nice.
Probably a little bit, frankly, probably a little bit cheaper.
The issue with the jetter, it's a sensitive subject because we're required to clean 100% of our sewer lines every year, so we need that kind of equipment fully operational. Coming in, I realized it wasn't anywhere near fully operational, so we started planning on replacing it.
Right. That's why I asked, you know, I mean, 90,000 for new versus a couple thousand to repair. You got
So
plan on, you know, repairing, you know,
they said it's in perfect working order, so
right.
I will tell that now.
But still, you know, carrying it, if it's $5,000 repair, you know, it's still much less than the first thing.
The bigger issue with that is the time to repair. The
Okay,
downtime
yeah.
is the bigger issue.
All right,
Honestly.
yeah, understood.
So you're saying you're taking that away?
Yeah, we'll take 90 out of that. Yeah, other than that, I mean, rather than going, you know, line by line, there really weren't any major changes.
Major changes are gonna be like cancer. Major changes are already underway.
Exactly.
I have a question about compost.
Yeah.
I don't understand the highlighted comment, Lake George 53%, 109,000
Sure.
out of the 131,000. Can you
So-
explain that?
Yeah, so what we do with compost every year, it kind of runs a year behind, so. We'll use the 2023 sludge numbers, the amount of sludge we bring to compost. And we'll use that to figure out who pays what for 2024. So for example, if we brought 500 tons of sludge to compost, Lake George brings 1,000 tons. They'll pay 66% of the compost budget for next year. And the agreement between us and them based on how much we're putting through. So the percentage there is based on this year, what did you say was 53%?
Right, but 109,000 is not 53% of 131,000.
Well, 100, it must be 53% of the total. Total expense, 200 and something thousand.
This is revenue. It's on page 110, 8131 compost tipping fees, compost facility. 131,000, then there's a note that Lake George. 53% at 109,000, but. I don't understand how the 53% drives with 109 when the total is 130.
Wait, that's perfect. No, what the first one, see the budget, right? Well, we're starting 100%. I think the 53% is key. Because Lake George puts 53% of the sludge into the facility. Okay, operations and maintenance are based on tonnage. All right, so they're 53, we're 47. They're gonna pay 53% of whatever the O&M costs are. Right, and you're gonna pay 47%. The dollar amount might have been, you know what I mean, before we got final kind of numbers. That's what I'm thinking might have happened.
Okay, thank you.
The key is the 53%.
All right.
Then you go through and look at the 8130. The 0.1s and the 0.4s and the 0.2s. And that's your O&M cost.
So the total O&M cost is 256,000, so they'll pay 53% of that.
Right. That might be one.
Okay, where is the, because I'm in the revenue, so if I go to
Yeah.
find expense of compost.
That'll be the last line of the expense.
What line, what number?
Okay,
Okay,
117.
all right, 256, so. Out of that cost. 53% ship, I think.
Yes, and that's based off of however much sludge they end up with at the year to year.
Okay, so if we make a revenue of 131, our cost is 256, we lose a lot of money.
Well, no, we have to pay our share as well. The district has to pay their share. That's the difference. Whether it ends up being exactly 53% at the end of the year, or 52 or 58, you know, that remains to be seen. But right now, it's at 53%.
Okay, never mind, Lake George, share, whatever. If the revenue from the compost is estimated at 131,000. And the expense is 256,000.
There's gotta
That's
be
a lot of money you're losing.
There's probably an I think there's an interfund line there in the revenue. It shows the-
Yeah, and there's 115,000, and there's 131,000. 115,000 will be ours, 131,000 will be theirs, and then you have another 10,000 for sales of compost.
So there looks like there was an adjustment to fringe after we did this too, because
Right.
400 and some odd hours off, we'll have to fix that too. But yeah, you would take the total expenses minus the 10,000 in sales. Whatever that number is then split 53-47.
Right, so that does equal the final number. I think.
Yes, sir.
Can I have ask another question about compost? I'm doing a bunch of things. Quite a few years ago, we had a large problem of the failing the testing. Are we beyond that, Joe?
Yeah, looks really good, and running well. I think last year we might have failed one sample at one point, but no operation. I don't think we failed anything yet.
Thank you.
And if you fail once in a while, it's not a big
We're
deal.
also sampling.
You could recycle it, you know, if you're failing constantly, then it becomes.
That's what it was. We had
That was
humongous piles of failed stuff. Are there any more questions on this budget? Oh, Dave, do I have one more? Thanks, Steve.
You have one more, no?
You have a lot.
We're in the compost.
Okay. Well, thank you much. You know all about that. Yeah. You like bigger.
David,
So you didn't have any staffing requests for next year, right? No staffing changes. It was submitted to personnel for additional staff.
No, not unless this,
Whatever was on that plan.
It's great, it'll affect that.
No.
That'd be good here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I didn't have anything submitted for a travel plan. Do you have any conferences or anything for next year that you?
I'll look into that. I know there is a major one in May, so I'll get that.
So for that, you can bring it to committee
Okay.
ahead of time.
Is there a dollar amount or is that?
You would bring that to committee. Yeah, your dollar amount. If you had a travel.
I mean, is there a minimum? You have to bring? One day conference.
For overnight.
Just for overnight.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
If you bring your overnight approval, then you never have to this meeting, you never have to bring it back.
If you had a travel plan submitted with your budget, then, and the committee approves it at that point, you don't have to get it back. That is one.
I'm gonna.
So-
So.
So.
you have an extra one?
We're going on video. Why don't you just-
You sure we had one. He's got a button, that means we're probably endless. Thanks, sir.
Limits this table.
I was the one. See, he's got. Somebody give me a pen.
I'm still gonna fire away.
I
but
do.
you know.
Oh, thank you, Daryl got one. Somewhere between the cars.
We have to.
Yeah. Oh, that makes it look more scary.
Yeah, it should at least make more.
That's all we're doing. You still got guys who are leaving.
Yeah.
Go bite your tongue over there. You haven't been here for a while. Well,
Okay.
Well, we got to find out another meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, so I have just a couple of things. One, we would like to buy a paint truck and sort of already did, and we need money.
95,750.
Yep.
And I was just moving it out of contingency because there's no money in road machine because we haven't had one in years.
Okay.
motion and second, any discussion?
Matt, so we're buying a paint truck to paint lines on the road?
Yeah.
And we would then not have to pay a contractor to do that? And then that usual annual cost about,
$60,000.
so it's gonna pay for itself in a year and a half?
Well, that, and we couldn't get anybody to paint the road.
Oh, okay.
That was meeting you were,
Okay,
good conversation.
Why pay the money? Go off and do it.
Well, Matt's feeling better now. We can send him out with a brush and a
But I
paddle.
would say if it pays back in a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah, I
still
get
Not
you.
a bad
I
idea.
get you.
So I need a picture of the line in front of my house, right?
Really?
Literally.
It's a little way ahead to that line.
He's in the village.
I'm in the village.
I'm sure.
They had a
we'll have
business
learning
possible.
curves.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's learning curves.
Contingent of general,
Right.
contingent of general. And what's that gonna change that from X to Y?
800 and something.
700 something. Okay.
All in favor? Opposed?
Another day.
Anything else on?
I would like to ask permission to apply for a grant through the Lake George, Lake Champlain Basin for brine.
Second.
Second, discussion?
Is that different than Lake George, Lake Champlain Regional Planning Board? Is that a different?
Well, they applied through the basin grant. Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
To buy brine material?
Yes, and it has towns involved in.
You buy it bagged and then you mix it with. You don't buy the brine as liquid, you buy the calcium.
We buy salt and we bought brine maker through this grant program. Years ago.
How many brine makers do we have?
One,
Do we consider trying for another? Going?
yeah,
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
we got it pretty good.
And Hebrew can't, be
Here
involved in
again,
this.
being-
Why don't we just, you can't paint in the winter time, use the paint truck for Brian and that. And
I can't put roads around with anyway.
Why not? I put salt.
And then, one, more, go ahead to.
Yes, we got to vote. All in favor? Opposed?
You don't
Yeah,
need
the summertime.
So to put cones out, there's a safety basket thing that you can get, and the state has one that we saw the other day, so we looked into that and we would like to purchase one. We have the funds in there, it's $8,040, I think it was. And so I'd like permission to purchase
We've done the big screen. guy.
Yeah.
This is for the guy to ride in and put cones out. right?
Yes.
It fits on the backside of the
So
truck.
he doesn't
Yeah.
get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feeds them down
yeah.
at all shops.
Second.
Got a motion to second, any more discussion?
If they make a robot that does that,
Crosswalk.
I believe I said.
you benefits.
G,
It's a robot that's good.
LT license.
Wow, cost.
2290.
You don't have workers'
We have
comp,
one.
no worries.
There you go.
Private nuisance.
Yeah, but you have some
Legacy.
state.
Any more questions or discussion?
That one.
All in favor?
I,
Just one quick, don't they make a robot that does that?
Dana, when he's retired from.
I don't know.
To make summer student interns.
There's the three of those guys can do it.
I mean, it's such a
I'm not
competitive
retired.
thing, you think they'd have it automated somehow.
Remember the board.
I've only seen them taken out with automation. It's usually the car in front of me that fits them all.
So next up, we have budget. I looked it all over and it looks good.
Move it.
So many acres.
So where do we start, A?
Yeah.
Start with A.
Okay.
Thank you. There's nothing really new on our travel plan.
Yeah.
These are not all of the night ones, that's This, like, January's now tonight, February, and this is tonight, only June, August, September, and May. But they're all ones that we've done. What else is there any questions on A? Yep, that's, page 13.
Good, everybody else good?
Next up is, that's all. Solid waste. Solid waste is 89.
7.
87. Oh, 87. So, on solid waste, it went down because we asked for a reduction and we were approved. It used to be twice a year for both gas and water testing. And now it's annually for gas and every 3 years for water testing. Plus, we went out to bid a couple years ago and it wasn't updated from that, so that's why it's gone down. But that's a good thing, I guess.
Was your actual, is there a test left, or is that what are we done for the year?
And actual, I don't know.
Gas test.
Actual is 4,000.
That's for the
Landfill?
landfill. The landfill.
I don't. Next up is carpool.
Just give you an overview of our funds to begin with. She's not wrong. It is a good budget. The problem is everything costs more money. So.
So carpool, some highlights for carpool. I don't really have many highlights for the revenue unless there's questions.
The increased numbers are working, we think.
Get more money, so
We don't know if it's enough.
I don't think it's.
The only-
to-
The only notable thing on the revenues, I would think, was the $200,000 interfund from general making work. I think that's the only no other revenue.
And the discussion we had was if we set the rate for the cars and car replacement and fuel, should we be, we were looking at the interfund transfer to pay for the people that actually work there. Right, and their benefits. And where we're looking.
23 or 24? The 200,000.
24 for the proposal for 24.
Yeah,
It's gonna take $200,000 of general fund money to make it work. And as we've talked about, I feel like for 10 years now, the carpool fund, we're making progress, but it's still not there yet. And Deb had a very good sit down, and Ryan and I talked about if the rate, even the increased rate is for the repair and replacement of the machines. How are we funding all the overhead? The salaries, the fringe, the incidental things that aren't the repair and replacement of the car. And it was a very intelligent question, and I didn't have an intelligent answer. So we will have to continue to look at how we fund carpool. If the rate is to just repair and replace the cars, then general fund is gonna have to absorb the overhead to make the fund work, or you're gonna continue to struggle to have that fund balance.
and the other question we had amongst it was. Vehicles have gone up in price. Hey, do we need to keep a fleet the size we have? Should we have more cars in the pool and less in the fleet? And that's something we're really gonna have to look at, because going forward, vehicles are getting expensive in full maintenance, so if we could cut the fleet in half, would really help.
One of the benefits of us going out to those legislative conferences, we were able to talk to some other counties like-sized and even bigger that have smaller fleets. So we do have some intelligent conversations that we can have about how we do things and how others do things, and not have to recreate the wheel, right? So
Interfund transfer, you have two of them here. You have a 239,000,
that's appropriate fund balance.
But then you have another 200,000.
Coming from,
So we're using some of the fund balance and some new money from general.
So you're using $400,000 worth of infusion.
Yes, sir.
What's the fund balance in current?
We ended last year with 649,
We're using a third of it this next year.
and hopefully
Well,
hopefully we're weaning off of that.
yeah, the idea was changing the rates, we would wean off that, that's what we're trying to
And
do.
we are starting to see the benefit in 23 of the rates. It's just not enough yet to get it.
Our bigger question is gonna be in, like, probation goes out after the workday is done, and cars would be back in carpool. Are not public defenders, ADAs go to courts at night when the car is already back in carpool. You know, there's ways we could shrink where we're not really, the cars just get used a little more than that. You don't need more cars to do that. They don't have to be designated to those areas. That's the conversations we're gonna have to have.
We've even talked to Deb about changing the rate model, and if the cents per mile isn't working, should we be looking at flat rates? So if a car is $40,000 and it has a 7-year useful life, you could just do simple math and see what your monthly bill would need to be to replace that car. So we are looking at other ways to make sure the fund is sustainable, because it is supposed to be self-sustaining, and we're not quite there.
That's what my question was, is there a way to build in some kind of escalator that automatically adjusts without having to come to the board every time to make the corrections for, you know, placing for parts alone is
Well, I was gonna say, it's part of
unbelievable.
how fast the rates go up. Look what a plow truck's done in the last 5 years.
Well, not even just the new equipment, parts
Yeah.
are unreal.
And we are looking at everything. Back to get more.
I was gonna let that one slide, that was too easy.
On the expenses, the first one is, pickup truck for the engineers. One of the main reasons, one of the main reasons we want to get them a pickup truck is because they carry around a bunch of equipment that is not really secured inside the Explorer that they have. So it would be safer to put it in the pickup truck part of it. And then there's a bridge trailer replacement. The compact SUVs for the carpool, the hybrid and the gas. Those are. We have some 2000, so the way carpool is, you recycle, you move some out of carpool and into fleet and stuff like that. So we have some 2007s and 2009s that are getting worn out, so. That's what those are for, to replace stuff like that. The Foreman trucks, two of them are replacing 2012s. One of them has 224,000 miles on it, the other has 229,000. The other Foreman truck of the three is to cycle one into buildings and grounds, and that is to replace a 2008 or 223 miles. And then the sheriff investigator vehicles and two of them, and the sheriff patrol vehicles, 5 of them.
Question. The hybrid vehicle, how are you gonna plug that in?
They don't plug in. Unless-
They generate their own?
Yeah. Yeah, it's jump in the sheriff's vehicles, just replacements, or is that, are we adding? People,
I think did last year we do 4 in 1. I didn't have the conversation with the sheriff.
In 1 year, none came in.
And they have had an increase in staff as well. That was the reason we gave for that.
I think it's a great idea. Know what you said. Well, so the difference of about what, $7,000? $7,500? It's about 2,000 gallons of gas. And we're gonna keep it long enough so we can save 2,000 gallons worth of gas, to get a hybrid as opposed to a regular one. I mean, I assume you now would make that calculation and see that it's worth it. If you get rid of it in 4 years, it probably doesn't pay for itself. If you keep it for 10, it probably does. Maybe we can track that.
Well, I think two is a good test. I don't think we would buy any more until we finally sell these and we have some data, as how long they.
I would mistake.
Last, everything changed.
Yeah.
December 31st.
It just, everything, whatever the state tells you is what they're gonna buy. That's the problem. Everything in this budget is because of state government. Sad as it is, that's where we're at.
No, we're talking just.
Everything but the sheriff patrol and a little bit of bridge work.
No, we're talking hybrid versus gas, state doesn't tell us.
They're gonna,
No, BS.
I wish it was BS.
No, this, you can't keep saying the sky's falling.
No,
And I
that's
don't want to
straight
hear that
line.
you want to buy a hybrid because it has a higher resale value when we don't even know how many years or
Right.
miles later on we're gonna
And we don't know what the resale is.
But I
No
think
way to
two,
know.
but I think two is a good test. But I don't think you should buy any more until the test is complete, like in 4 years and when you go to resell it.
This- So if you're telling me the state will decide what you're buying, it must time you that. They've already put in play and they actually sent them a letter that the state's already gone through with the California type law on replacing all our DPW vehicles. And there's classes 1 through 8, right? And you have to buy 10% starting in year 26, was it? 10% of them.
He's gonna do this, Glenn?
No, you showed it to me 2 years ago. They already passed the law and you have to buy 10% of whatever vehicles in each class have to be electric. So if you only buy one vehicle, it has to be electric. If you buy 10, you only just buy one. It's ludicrous. I don't know how strong they're gonna be on it, but they've already passed.
So there's quite a few countries in Europe that are already rolling back their 2035 date, no longer manufactured.
I don't know that we're that
internal
smart.
combustion. But sometimes we follow them.
But
Next,
Guys, well,
Is there any more questions on any of the expenses in here?
with the two infusions, you got your balanced budget.
Yes.
1.5 million for each revenue and.
If you already said it and I missed it, I apologize. What was the increase in?
That's because Hanky wants GPS and all of you.
Okay.
Because did you get lost in Argyle?
I didn't even keep the bus start up.
keep track of them.
safety measure for us, cities.
It is, it equates to $249. $249. We already had it DPW.
There's some-
On County Road before we leave county.
We're in Carpool.
We're done with that. Hey,
Done with
the council, we're done with
Carpool?
Carpool.
Yeah, we're done with purple. I said that.
Second that. All right, on
County
to-
Road. Third County Road.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead, ask your question. Keep it out there.
Top of page 94. County Road Admin. Very first line, 2024, $5,000. Is that a typo? Should the decimal be 500?
Minor sale.
That is income, let me check.
Or did you just shift numbers because you're not doing any minor sales inventory?
It should be minor sales, inventory sales. Oh, yeah, that's a line shift. I have it on inventory sales. It should be down on the next one. Adding active
Yeah.
members.
Okay.
So how about the one above it? Should that be 500?
I have 500.
Well, we just gained $500 revenue, thanks.
Woo-hoo. I'm done.
Thanks, Dan. Who remembers to do that? Like, I can't get back in there again, can I?
Get that.
Thanks.
Now, appropriated fund balance. That's out of county road fund balance.
Correct, sir.
And so we're appropriating about 600,000 for next year. after we appropriate 1.6 million for this year. What's that fund looking like? Healthy or?
Fine, help.
600 not gonna keep you up.
It's up in there, that's
Is it
why.
gonna keep you up at night?
Do it, supervisor Stern.
So
What line you want there?
we
Very first.
anticipated using 1.3 this year, and I don't think we will.
Okay.
But this 599 is probably gonna come very close to.
Right, we don't know if it's there or not at this point.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead,
It's
Al.
at the bottom.
Okay.
Right, so we're again, we have to wean off of, so to get this from 1.3 down to 599, we also had to increase the contribution by $1 million.
Contribution into county road.
The
Yes.
contribution
From-
from general is up $1 million to get some of that bridge. And next year, that 599 is probably gonna have to be nuggets, so. Stay tuned. This is probably the first increase up to,
There's $1 million coming from general into county road.
yes, just $1 million more. From 10 to 11 million.
And, well, there it is, right there. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yep.
My bad.
It's because the cost of everything is up, cost of bridges.
Well, Dana got me paid 94, I went back to 93, that couldn't give me.
Any more questions on revenue?
Nice to see that.
On page 95 starts expenses. Really 96. So if you see the equipment for county road sign shop, that hitch to carry the cones is something that we want to buy this year, so we won't be buying.
It's coming out.
Yep. We took out the 65,000 contract expenses because we will have a paint truck hopefully. Just right against.
You still have to buy the paint.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that's in different line, it is in supplies,
Okay.
other for $170,000.
We bought the paint anyway.
We always love that.
Yep, we always bought the paint, yep. So we didn't need to increase them. We added machinery rental for the paint truck for that line. Pages, admin. Nothing really to highlight there, any different. On engineering. Let's point out the 4420 line. On page 98, a little more than halfway down for outside services has increased, and that is, that's where we have our load ratings for our bridges and our temporary bridges and flags and stuff comes out of, but also that Dix Road that we share with Saratoga County, it's a pedestrian bridge. We have to have that inspected this year, so that's estimated to be $40,000. But Saratoga pays for half.
Back to your regular earnings and engineering, it's up $100,000.
Is that because we moved somebody from a non-engineer to an engineer? Did we upgrade somebody?
I think there's a new position for next year that's already included in there, if I remember right. Right. 3,000.
It's already,
Should be in
should it be?
So wait a minute, what are you talking
got a
about? I got
Email yesterday.
94 to 109.
No, it goes from One fifty, 258 to 320, or 220 to 324. Did we move somebody from a personnel status from a non-engineer to an engineer this year?
So, Al doesn't want us putting. Al doesn't want us putting our part-time, so I know there's a part-timer in there, which used to be on a different line. But,
So in total, you're up 70,000.
wait,
Yes.
I want that part-time.
There was somebody.
Right.
There was somebody,
Yeah.
got the email, but I can't find
Yes.
it. You found it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure the board knew it.
So-
It's coming up on your personnel list, but it was added.
So it's the $53,217.
Oh, an engineering tech. This shouldn't have been in there then.
Correct.
Right.
I don't fill out those.
So
So that's what
That
that,
could be ridiculous.
I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware, or we can either remove it and add it back in, or we can wait and see if we have it or not. That's. Can you explain what that position is over
That is-
on that line?
yeah, that was one of my questions. Do I bring up the new positions here? Oh, okay.
You do, what,
Well, there it is. So DEC has this new, well, we had a general permit with DEC, which was very easy for us to use, but now we don't. So we spend an exorbitant amount of time on applying for permits. Also, we try to help the towns with their permits. And this would benefit both the towns and the county to have this position in there. We do have a part-time person. Yeah, see, I don't know, that part-time was moved in there. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're distracting me.
not trying to distract you.
Are you sure that's what that is? Because we had to move Dick into our part-time. Dick is a part-time person.
But
With the budget,
all lines are up 70,000.
So it was an email I got yesterday. that-
It was included in the budget. $53,000, which is your engineering. Your engineer technician position. That's requested.
So that's what the engineering technician position would mostly be doing is DEC permits for both the county and the county.
Hey, can you back up and tell me? You said we had a thing with DEC, a general permit, and
Yes.
that's not allowed anymore.
Yeah, general permits for 10 years and they automatically renew it, but they don't renew anymore.
So it just went, so,
There's no way.
Right.
we'll ever
I
get
just
that
want to
back.
make sure I knew that.
We have to apply for a permit every single time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if-
So this person's gonna do that. I just need everybody to know that the change wasn't our doing, change is again the benefit of the state, another state agency.
That's not water.
It's just water, trust.
Mhm.
So that's for engineering, kind of anymore, short inspection, no. Next is maintenance.
Before you go on,
Oh, sorry.
can you explain why outside services has such a large increase from 50,000 to 85,000?
Is that what-
A contractual, yeah, 4420.
That's
That
what
was
we
the
just
Dick
talked
Bridge.
about.
That was
The
that
Dick
bridge.
Bridge. So that's where our flags and our load ratings for our flag bridges come out of, and our load ratings for our in-house bridges and the road inspection.
Yeah, sure.
So the-
Hicks Bridge is a
It's going up.
pedestrian bridge.
Right, it has to be inspected this year, and it's gonna cost 40,000.
So,
Yep.
so the Sarah Edelman Bridge, what we're talking about.
That one,
This-
that is not that bridge. Hers is the white bridge that is up by the Hudson.
They're both
River.
Sarah Edelman Bridge.
Oh, okay.
Is the bridge with the lights on it?
No,
That's another bridge.
this is not.
It's just not the best.
That's just a clearing break.
All right, I gotta get.
Man, I'm glad I don't-
Bridge.
I don't
Kept you out of
make
it,
any
Jay.
changes. Just wash them all away in the river.
10-foot cement bridge for bicycles, this is the big one that I had the high speed chase across after it was closed.
You ran across it?
Yeah. Doesn't Greenwich have some I mean, they took all the credit for it, don't they have some, overwhelming, in that part of their, some of their parks or some darn thing? And why isn't Town of Greenwich participating in this?
Get your Teflon on.
Well, the whole
Did you just
emphasis,
feel the buzz like that?
the whole emphasis for that was not a county, case, it was a town influence on both sides of the river.
Man, yes. Oh, yeah.
Is it because it's still over the length, the county has to do it, whether it's pedestrian bridge or not?
100 feet.
I know how long it is, I know exactly where it is and what it is, but it's,
He wants to know it's a county.
I wanna know why, if the county still has an overwhelming, if the county owns everything over a certain length, regardless whether they're for vehicles or for people in
Oh.
kitty cab.
Yes, so this, all bridges that the county owns have to be inspected every other year. The state does most of them. And this is a pedestrian bridge, so it has to be inspected every 5 years.
I understand that concept entirely. What I'm getting at is, we have to do, whether it's in a town or anywhere else, it's a county bridge if it's over 20 feet or something.
Yes.
Like that, right?
Yep.
I thought that was only for vehicular traffic.
Oh, do we still?
If that is,
Nice exit.
I brought that up, he ran right out the door.
He
He
did.
called me to the answer.
So there's,
You got the answer now.
It's used by snowmobiles.
You have
well,
the-
it's registered in New York State.
I thought you made the call.
Is that
do you
a
have that
snowmobile
resolution
trail?
that talks
Yeah, they use that
about
for
what we
some
took over?
I know,
from the
I do, is it
Part of the
a-
trail.
is it-
Yeah.
But was it
is
just
Vehicle
vehicular?
or walking bridges, like, it says bridges, doesn't say walking bridges.
All right, I'm out there, I'm trying to figure out some way to digest ourselves with $85,000.
Big Blue Sierra.
Well, Dana says they use it for snowmobiles, it's on a trail system. That isn't motor vehicle.
It's not.
Very simple, just close it,
We did that once.
People like to use it.
Yeah,
let them pay,
they are,
put a turnstile on it,
they probably pay when they.
yes, yes.
31K.
Battle of the Davis, it's like a TV show.
Democrat.
You're on the wrong side.
Hey, you're right.
That's the best thing I thought.
Never mind.
You can see where Brian is, it's to the left.
We finally converted. Just when you're on your way out. They came right to the table.
There's you so red.
Did you get the answer then?
No. Next, I'm gonna try and shift it to Newport.
I tried when I first started working here to get out to Beckman's Bridge and it didn't work, so I wish you the best of luck.
When you first came, I was chairman, now we'll see. Green. Friendly over there, so I probably won't make out. Yeah, I might try to canal for it. That's a lot of money for a stupid book.
In order to get the canal to really look at it seriously, I think we probably don't do this.
I
And
don't,
it has to be inspection and arrears, then it's a crisis, and then the canal court might, but if we go ahead and pay it, the canal court's gonna say, you already paid it.
Boy, I can tell you're sitting on the left side of the table. That's exactly how they think. In a crisis, we'll get some money.
Right.
I don't think it goes over the canal though. This goes over the river.
It goes over the river.
So.
Yes.
Healthy living and grant funding for walking and pedestrian care and whether you're bicycle riding. There's a lot of money out there right now for that kind of thing. Why doesn't the county look towards looking for some money for this?
See, now you have a project, Bob, you know where to look for it.
That's what I'm thinking about, but I can do this.
Every time one of these comes up, it just seems like a whole whale load of money for somebody to get out and maybe look at the bridge to see if it's got the roads. Seems like a ton of money.
Yeah, 40,000 is a lot to look at it. Then you still gotta fix it if you need something.
Now what do you think of?
And I'm not trying to insult bridge engineers, but I don't know how they are.
These people on the bridge that they.
It's not transferring liability, that's what it costs.
Next,
Maintenance. Let's see.
They just wanted you to have 29 minutes. Now
No, I
now
saw
you're
that.
moving along.
Right, in maintenance. The 40/40 contract expenses line, that's for machinery rental, which means we rent, excavators, rollers, things like that. It's our mowing contracts with towns, our tree removal contract, so that's what comes out of that, that's gone up a little bit based on price increases. Let's see, the next big increase one. Supplies other, that's where our cost of our culvert pipes and the DEC requirements have increased this by $75,000, so that's part of that increase.
Somebody read this out with it too, so same,
That machinery rental is, we pay ourselves so that, whenever we use a machine, there's a rental on it and it goes directly into DM. Road machine.
yes.
That's the difference between that machinery rental.
That must be why it's lower, but I'm thinking the
Oh.
price of stuff, it should be really.
So these actuals, where?
So it's spread out differently through the fund.
Okay.
Fund wise, it is, how it's allocated within the fund is different.
Okay.
So she probably is doing more in the road and bridge section than the maintenance section.
And actual, I think is from July, I'm not sure when this actual. But we went over the machinery rentals pretty closely, and we think we're on target for meeting this year's 2023's budget, and we're, predicting 2024's.
Okay, and that's important because that's how we buy our equipment. Without it there. Okay.
Any more questions on maintenance? Next up, we have road projects. Road keeping.
Do the machinery.
Machinery rentals are out, yep. That makes sense.
That's pretty.
We're planning on. We budgeted, CHIPS money for those.
We're gonna tell you
We were looking
guys.
at it.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, that one. Thing, so the chairman is like 5 Argyle.
Mileage too. Maybe we can get him to move to Hartford.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 8 miles. 8 miles an hour.
Miles, so say that section 85. I think it was 40.
40 on the first.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Debbie, I get to share. How does?
What?
Richard, King Road, Cobble Road, I get that, Cobble Road. I think it's Pettis Road. Pettis Road, 372, because that's that 25-way intersection, 372, right?
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. Gillis Road doesn't cut it. Comes off 74A and goes up,
It's a lot, just look at it.
doesn't come off of 60. It's Pettis Road.
No.
I have a question. Yeah, question on this. No, never mind, I just, never mind.
Street meeting.
If I do have a question. If the road projects for Hartford, you have Hall Road to number 322, then the next line, number 322 to Warren, then the next line, Warren to Brayton. Why wouldn't you just have that Hall Road to Brayton Road? Why is it broken up to 3 segments when it's the entire length?
Because we have to break up our projects for record keeping purposes, they can't go over a certain amount or they're not eligible. for chiefs.
So you go the length to the nearest intersection, then you go again to the next intersection, then you go again to the next intersection.
It's kind of based on cost. Where we end. Then we try to get the closest intersection.
Okay.
It's mostly for record keeping.
I'm surprised. They don't tag it.
You could probably be logical, because you're not interrupting traffic.
There you go. And you gotta let it cure for a while.
Yes.
There's traffic in Hartford.
As
I'm
long as you
looking at
don't,
these
as long as you
going,
don't pay a
okay,
mobile,
how much?
you don't pay a mobilization fee for each length, do you?
Record keeping, I like that.
Rural County.
I think snow removal, I think our cost went down a little bit this year. The
Yeah.
bid price is $70. We have a new
For the
company
salt?
too. Yeah, it's Morton. So let's see how Morton does. I don't think much has changed on any of the snow removal for the county or for the state.
Sam has a question.
Okay,
I just had a question about the bridge one. So you went on the Goodman Road, 48 bridges in the road. Look at the 2025, you planned it, where we have that.
Redmond Road did make it, then we must be going down back. Unless. This one, yeah, it must not be as bad as these,
All right, I just,
but if other funding comes up, we're gonna consider it for that. Like for Bridge New York or something, if there is,
I just wanted to tell people what to ask.
Yep. but I'll ask about 2025. Make sure and let you know.
Well, as a response to your question, you actually have a very good question about the bike path. So, tell Brian, you think about 40 and Kingsbury, we got what, 36 new bike bridges? We gotta check those every 5 years, 85,000 a pop. That, we hopefully can get that cost, make sure they're paying that cost.
We gotta figure that out because. Yeah.
It does have motor or snowmobile roads go across in the winter, which may be the same.
Do we have anybody in-house that can inspect those kind of bridges Danny's talking about, or could get,
That's what I'm wondering.
or get certified to do that, so we wouldn't have to pay outside to do that?
How are you doing?
New position.
Your new position? Can they
He's a
do that?
tech.
Expect
He's
them
when
to
he
get-
came 50,000.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. Yeah, but we have other engineers.
Because there's no way it should cost 40,000.
There's nobody in there who is certified to inspect right now. The thing with the Dix Bridge is it's an underwater inspection. That's one of the issues with the Dix Bridge. That's why it's.
So you don't own brick,
Huh?
you buy you a brick, own brick in your hand, like this.
Well, you swim.
Wanted to swim with the fishes.
You didn't say cement shoes.
Hey, no, that's more than 20 feet.
See, you got bridges in there, I know.
He's trying to get rid of.
Especially if you have an electric bike, that is a vehicle.
He's gonna
Well,
send you to school.
Sarah's
Do
bridge,
the inspection.
that's the thing, that thing I think is under 20 feet, so Greenwich have to pay for that inspection?
This Fort Edward actually, I think. But I'm not sure.
It's in Greenwich, I think.
There you go, you did it, Sarah. I'll figure that one out.
You guys are killing
Yeah,
him
Jim's getting hammered over there. one.
already about that bridge. You don't need it. You're giving him cement wheels.
If it's under 20 feet, it's not, we don't even need to talk.
No, but he needs to know.
It's 750,000, shouldn't wear out for 50 years.
I think about it.
What about signs? Don't cross the drone
Go
river.
ahead, Bob.
Could I change the subject just a little bit?
Oh,
Really? On the 101 factory equipment there. How big is that enclosure? For $1,000.
What are you on?
On page 101 on your equipment. Your miscellaneous equipment.
Well, I can't answer that because I don't even know what a spud wrench.
Well, it's a
But
set.
spud wrench is something that's got one big wrench with a tapered end, so you use it to line up the bolts and stuff before you put it in. And then you can turn around and tighten the bolts with the crank part. The handle is a long tapered shaft. That's the spud wrench. How the hell big is it for $1,000? It's
So
one unit, it's
it's not one.
$999.
Probably a set of 10.
It's not one.
Doesn't go on.
I know it says one.
One
What's
set.
one set?
It's spud wrenches plural, so they just have one unit with a total. I don't know how many it is.
Okay,
So you can find out how many it is, but it's more than.
because if so, I got several of my robots, I'll sell it right now.
I will run that through purchasing. see
And
how-
especially, you know, they're used, so that was, you know, you lost 50% of the value the second you carried them out, so they're really cheap.
You're assuming I don't just buy tools because I like to just keep them. I don't.
You are good.
You're the only person in the building.
Yeah.
Well, I know what, you know what a slugging wrench is?
Yes, give me a minute.
It's used in conjunction with the spud wrench.
Yes. You might have.
Yeah.
Next.
I've heard of it.
It's a wrench with a square end and you hit it with the hand.
Yes.
You slug it with the hand.
Yeah.
Non-spark.
Next question?
Yeah, is there any more questions?
Silver River County is down.
Wrenches. What was that, Matt?
Silver River County is down, Northern State is down. Big expensive.
Yeah, she says.
Must be El Nino. El Nino's gonna give you a nice gentle winter next year. We're gonna have less snow. That's what you're saying.
Are you gonna give
In a
us
minute,
a
she
raise?
said it in a minute. We're gonna have
You
less
give
snow.
us a
next
raise?
year.
No, she said it's all.
I know.
Brian,
Jimmy defended you and said we had to raise those. Is it-
I have seen every combination color of the woolly bear detergent.
Oh my God, yes. Like from yellow to jet black.
Three of the four combinations.
Those jet, Bob will tell you, the jet black ones are not woolly bears, they're different.
the all red ones aren't fully very.
I was doing my, yeah.
You know, they're just as effective as the weatherman.
Can we stay on topic, please? I'm a busy man, I have places to go, people to see, things to do.
Now, you can sit on that side of the table, you got all day.
No.
You're the only one that's up.
Any more county road questions?
Machinery. On our machinery rental with the cost of plow trucks going up, it looks like you went down with the hairs, that
Which one? So that's-
4210.
42 now.
You can remember, Dave, that was split in the fund.
Okay, well, I didn't know if that was applying to the.
Yeah. In total, you'll see when you go to work continuing,
Okay.
you'll see the culmination there.
I was just thinking snow removal on these trucks.
Well, the state line stuff too, 10,000.
Deb has raised their machine rental rates to the FEMA rate, so she's definitely making progress in getting that right size.
Plus, I tried to keep it more where the actuals have been, so.
Now, on the state side, though, if we have a hell of a winter, the revenue will just expense both of them. Right?
Yeah.
And that costs zero,
So, right, so that's
even though we make a little bit.
maybe.
No, we don't.
Any more county roads?
On machinery and the trucks and snow removal, is the county required to put the safety ignition switch in all the main trucks?
We have them.
You have more.
Turn off. The turn
Yeah.
off.
Shut off one.
Yeah.
So they come in.
Yeah, we spec that out. Yep.
Why is on 102 snow removal, why is there no state retirement taken out when there is retirement in all the other funds?
So we'll notice in county road, there's only one department with the entire allocation. It's not been split through all the different departments.
That's the case throughout the whole budget.
So that's
Anybody who has
515130, that's under
I
county
think it
road
was the
machinery,
maintenance, I think maintenance got all of the retirement.
like 89,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it'll still be billed back to them.
You'll see the actual spread out, even though the budget is in the one department.
Okay.
Or we can go with the way that this budget is taxed. Dealer's choice.
Okay.
I have to ask the same question every time, but we go to county road machinery. We appropriated $423,000 in fund balance. We're gonna use $1.5 million in fund balance this year. And we're budgeting 168 for next year. That fund getting a little soft also. So we amended over $1 million in fund balance usage this year.
We planned on using 423, which left 475.
Okay.
And of that 475, if we use all the 423, we're gonna take another 168 of the 425. So again, we're getting down to that low water mark, right?
But we appropriated an additional $1 million during the year sometimes. Did that not come out of fund balance?
That came from the agreement came from general.
Okay.
That was in 21 or 22 in December.
If it's in
We're
road,
taking advantage of the, road sheet.
if it's in road machinery, yeah. Well, remember, we had to.
We amended it in 22, but it showed up in the
So-
23.
Are you on county road or county machinery?
County machinery.
Oh, we moved.
Cassie said next, so I'm going next.
I'm sorry, man,
Oh, I think.
I maybe didn't miss. I missed
So,
anything.
so we appropriated 423 for this year, 23,
Yes, sir.
but we amended the budget another $1 million here. It's 1.492, 237. Where did that, yeah, where did that revenue come from?
Well, you're-
About 1.3. But that couldn't have come out of the fund balance, it must have come out of general.
Yep, I can confirm that for you. 1 second.
Yeah,
It-
no, I'm sure you knew at the time.
It's more likely that it's the encumbrance carried forward, but I want to.
That's what I was.
Oh, okay.
If the machine, if the trucks, no, I.
The revenue. Right,
But is it in the,
under revenue, interfund transfers appropriated fund balance, trying to figure out where that $1 million bucks.
oh, appropriate fund balance, that would be the offset to the purchase, to the encumbrance.
We carried it forward from the previous year because we didn't get the truck, the year we
Right.
said we we're gonna buy, we got them.
The 22
Okay.
didn't come in until 23,
Gotcha.
so there's the money to buy them, to do about 1.4 million, I think. right?
Because we buy them in
Yeah.
December. usually,
Because
towards the end.
So the amounts would have carried over to cover that.
So that amended budget is actually the PO coming forward.
Gotcha.
Sorry. But to your underlying question, this is getting down to my discomfort level with the fund balance.
Right.
So,
And that's kind of why the interfund transfers have to go up.
So the interfund, you guys were looking at 500,000 to $1 million. And that interfund came from
Yeah.
general.
your 200,000 in carpool, and $1 million in county road machinery, and $1 million in county road. Your 2.2 in new money, or
And then again, I'll write that down.
200,000 in carpool,
200K carpool,
500.
500,000 in road machine,
right?
and $1 million in roads. 1.7. New money out of general,
Gotcha, thank you.
and that's just to make this budget.
Right. And like I said, that's the one thing, it's just the cost, it's not like
Yeah,
anything extravagant, it's
yeah.
stuff that needs to be done.
You know, the only option.
That's
you
what
have
makes
is-
this budget tough.
all you can do is buy less if you're not comfortable with those numbers. And then that comes with other.
Yeah,
Yeah, that comes with other.
Yeah, there are a lot of.
Any more questions on revenue for county machine? So expenses. Other than personnel, start on page 105. So the equipment vehicles, the 5,500 truck, that order was canceled this year. So we're hoping to either find another one this year, and if we do, we'll take this out of this next year's budget.
You put that truck in the plow.
No,
Why not?
What's it for?
carrying the real skid steer. And all its implements. Would a truck that big be this big?
Not V power. Nice.
Would, yeah,
Would pick up
Like the ones that flower.
or an 8-foot straight.
Then dump trucks, Joel blade systems go on the dump trucks. The roadside mower tractor would be replacing a 2008. And the wheel loader is replacing a 2008.
Yeah, but 1970 truck.
Why are we, what's wrong with the 2008 models?
It's just,
Other than old, what's wrong?
I don't know. Yeah.
usually it's just a case where the maintenance catches up. Or
So I came across a program that I think I sent it to called Diesel Emissions Reduction Act, where you can take old equipment and you essentially apply for a grant to go against machines, replacement machines. And how it works is that, and I don't understand it, there's two parts of the program. There's a state part of the program, and then there's this federal part of the program. But if you have older equipment such as anything machinery with diesel engines, you can apply for the reduction emissions program that I would say 20 to 30% of the cost of a new vehicle. As I understand the program, they might have looked at it more. But as we looked at it, because we have some equipment to replace, it's pretty complex for one town to do this. I'm sort of curious whether you look into it, if you've got payloaders or excavators or anything else we have that don't have any equipment, mowers that are older and want to replace and get some help in doing that, we might want to consider doing this. So I think we should review that to see if it's something the county would be available, would be interested in doing. And maybe if we can do it like a shared services, because the paperwork is far beyond what I could do or what my highway guy could do. But it is quite a thing to look at. I know that our neighbor John Bolton got it out of state. The state did all the paper, went through the state versus the federal. And they've got substantial reductions on new truck and an excavator. So
How much guidance are they making you on the new equipment that you buy? How many restrictions are they putting on you?
I'm
'Cause
not-
sometimes it's,
I'm not sure the restrictions of paperwork is like that. And I got through half of it.
It's going from non-emissions to emissions
Yeah.
vehicles. It's what I'm guessing,
I mentioned, yes,
right? So it's gotta be old enough to have no emissions equipment on it. In 2008 might, but I'm not sure it does. Might have to be.
we'd have to look at it, but I'm not sure what the data is. It might be different vehicles or different pieces of equipment might have different dates of going to it.
An interesting thought.
Might be a shared services thing that if we have stuff we want to replace. Might be worth it.
I haven't seen that program.
I'll send it to you.
That's the EPA, through EPA.
School buses, class 5, class 8, heavy duty highway vehicles, locomotive engines and marine engines.
Usually it's
Exactly
better.
like
Federal stuff is usually extremely difficult to navigate, as you know.
Yes, I'm finding out.
goal to reduce the emission from diesel.
Enough savings to pay the person to write all the work to make it happen. It might be a collective thing. Might be all the county stuff, all the towns included, and anybody that's stated. Yeah.
And that may qualify for the state program versus federal program. I think the state program is not quite as complex as the federal program.
Well, the same order. We're looking into. Okay. Is there any more questions on the equipment?
Machinery looks good.
Yes. The under bossy pressure washer attachment, that's to, I thought we were sending our things to the car wash.
This is our plow trucks. So we have these. We have these pressure washers that have steam something in them, and this is to clean out underneath. So similar to the car wash thing in the cars, but this is for the big trucks.
$1,600 is quite a bit for one of those. Okay.
Steam generator.
Steam engine. Work for the steam engine.
I have a question for the distance measuring tool.
Yep.
The sign shop in this budget is buying one.
Yep.
Can't they share? Do we need two distance measuring tools?
One of those roller wheels concept.
One of
The sign shop has one called distance. It's $800. It's a distance meter. The sign shop, I assume the distance meter is the same as a distance measuring tool. It's the same price, $800.
the ones that the engineers have now are too old to put into new vehicles. They don't attach right or something. It's got something to do with how they look. And that's why they needed to update.
All these are ones
I can find out what years they.
you drive.
They're for
Not a
driving.
day measure. Yeah. Sounds like it.
Okay, but it's probably the exact same thing as the sign shop, so it's got, different vehicles is what you're saying, it will be attached to different vehicles.
Yep.
Dominic, Chuck, Dave, and Leland's,
Yeah.
more next.
I know, that's why I was double checking. Want to be sure.
I have a question about the 4,000 gallon brine sprayer,
For what?
page 106. 4,000 gallon brine sprayer.
Oh, yeah, so that,
Does that come with a trailer?
Mine went back truck.
Yeah, but the 4,000 gallons. That seemed kind of big for a can of backside. It's like 18 tons, it's like 18 tons worth of fluid. Plus you have like a low boy trailer, it's gonna go on or something.
it has all that, all the stuff that goes with it. The tubing and the string,
What is it on his trailer or does it go on the truck?
it goes on the truck, you know.
But our,
And they had a plan for it, and it's something to do with.
it's even a little bit heavy for our trucks.
We have Horses, they call them horses.
Yeah.
So you're gonna take this on and off a truck, or will it sit in one truck that also has a plow?
See, every now slowly.
If it's just on a truck that also has a plow, then there's no room for this salt to go in that truck as well. Or unless you're gonna be taking it on and off.
Oh, well, if that is the case, we're trying to get into, a live. So you can, actually out west, they don't even plow it, they just spray water, or they spray brine, so. Goes under for the
It's the same thing in Warren County, if you're following Warren County, they're not plowing when they're spraying,
They usually put it down ahead of the
They go
storm
on
within
spray
72
first, and
hours.
they-
Right, but then you have to take this 4,000 gallon tank out of the truck when it's snowing.
Right,
That's an awful lot of on and off.
Where you're designating the truck.
No, we're designating horse
Right,
trucks.
one
Horse trucks are the ones that pull the tractor trailers in the summer. So, low.
Okay. And you got 2 trucks? Okay.
So these trucks will be the ones that are going to spray them.
Oh, it's a fifth wheel hitch. So it comes all ready.
the revenue line is there an opportunity for, instead of towns that have a few paved roads like we where we could pay the county to brine. So our trucks didn't have to go out if it was, you know, could be a half an inch storm or something, you could,
Oh, yeah, maybe if we can use brine sprayers.
that's what I'm wondering, is there a way to brine? You know, cause a lot of them are, they go up against our paved roads. If you could just cut across and brine them where you're at it, cause we can't brine dirt roads anyway. So.
Where's
if
the
you
brine
brine them,
equipment held at?
there could be a savings.
Where's the brine equipment stored at? Not in every barn,
I
right?
have no idea.
Which barn?
Well, the brine equipment, we have 4 different brine sprayers. Now one is in Jackson, one is in Whitehall, one is in Fort Ann, I think one is in Fort Edward. So we have. one.
Sorry, Brian, you're look, not in
Well,
every barn.
It's of course, yeah, but if they're doing their county roads, when they're going by, I think it might help the towns finances and help the county's finances if you pay towns a certain amount per mile of brine, whatever.
So Deb, the ones that are in the barns, how many gallons are those guys? I mean, you're talking a 4,000 gallon one that's on a trailer here now.
Yeah, they're small.
So what's this truck gonna cover? Is it gonna, are these trucks gonna run the whole, half the county each direction? And if that's the case, are the town ones, are the small barn ones still gonna be used in theirs? What I'm,
Oh, yeah, definitely. We don't have the capacity to spread very much brine at this point.
so these 2 trucks will be covering
More, yeah, way more
Like-
area.
way more area.
Like 100 miles each. Up and back, 200 miles each truck, right?
I can have Jimmy.
How about, state, snow, will they
They
usually
pay
do
us already.
149?
They
So
pay
to
us.
brine, okay.
we don't brine any of the ones that we contract for, like we get revenue. Right, do we brine those roads?
State road,
State roads, we grind some state roads.
22 from Essex County line all the way.
But we don't have a
22A.
separate contract for that, or is that covered underneath the previous contract on removing so nice?
I'm just kind of wondering the logistics of it. You got these two big rigs now that are spreading, are ones in each of the county buildings gonna be spreading, or are they gonna? Are you gonna have, you know, the big truck goes through and then all of a sudden an hour later, the other truck goes through this from the county bar? I'm just.
We're not gonna double spray. These would pre-treat 130 miles of lanes. 130 lanes miles, but that, I don't know if they can do it that quickly. So, if you wanna take them out, if you want Jimmy to come down, and explain more exactly what he wants to do.
A lot of times you get down to prioritizing roads because you don't have enough time to get out there and do that anyway. So it's, I think the state roads get first priority, and this additional equipment is probably going to enhance the county roads. I mean, funding covers its own roads.
But if we're already contracted and we already get revenue, we plow the state
Get more
roads.
revenue when you do.
Why would we do this on the state roads unless we have an additional amendment in the contract to give us more money for that?
Yeah, that,
We just paid for that. We charge them for that maintenance.
Right, but now you're gonna be applying brine as well, an
No.
extra expense.
She's saying they charge. for
Right,
it.
I charge for
doing
everything.
that.
It's already in one of
We
the items.
grind some of the state roads
Yeah.
right now,
last year,
Pay for that.
and we are paid for time, materials,
Because it's a savings to the state. bill.
equipment. You know, the state gets charged for all that.
you do get into a, a labor shortage, which you. Equipment people. Just let you know, what we did up the northern end, so we're taking out a little bit more county road. That frees up Deb's crew to focus on the other roads.
Well, the brine is also it's a meticulous project. So the weather in the southern part of the county can be different than the northern part of the
Pretty
county.
much,
The north might be plowing while the south is brining. I mean, those things can happen.
The weather in the southern end of the town can be different.
Right,
than in-
so it can really change. So sometimes you can brine, sometimes you brine and find out, well, that was a waste because you got a foot of it, you didn't get it half an inch. No, it's an art.
brine still helps, brine,
Yeah.
brine gives you some, the first plow, it takes it right off after that.
Leaves it mushy.
Yeah. Gives you that.
It
first
does
plow.
not leave it slippery.
Not slippery, just mushy.
That could be slippery. It's
Depends on-
done right. That's why it's meticulous. It has to be done right.
That's it? I don't have any more.
Anything else from anybody?
Was
Oh,
there
sure.
one more step in the request?
On this?
You
One
mentioned that
one that wasn't in the budget? Yeah.
marriage upgrade. Senior account.
Oh, okay, so we bring those here, I just thought we.
They do come to the other one.
Oh, okay, so we would like to upgrade our senior account clerk to a bookkeeper.
It's a free grade increase. Projected cost of $5,700.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's very, we'll argue about it first.
Um,
And then language.
Yeah.
Oh. We talked about getting someone to clean car, put the other car.
You had that one already?
No,
Oh,
we want, you talked about different ways of doing
Oh,
it.
yeah. okay,
It's,
so,
it's one through DSS. Has times when cars get dirty inside, outside, whatever, or the, who they're carrying, if they want strange or who's sick, whatever. So they want somebody to clean the cars and I've been looking at this for years and figure out how we can do it. Probably takes a position for the amount of cars we have. Deb has come up with some ideas, how we can do this, but we don't know which ones are gonna work. Which regular car, vinegar.
Do we have guys in jumpsuits over here that are bored during the day? Need something?
No escape.
We actually went that way, and you have to clean the car before they can clean them. Very interesting.
Why would you give a getaway vehicle?
Make sure they know.
No contraband.
I get the key.
They're all GPS anyway, we can catch them.
So we have a position that we had, so years ago, there was a wingman, and now there's no wingman. But we carried over 3 people, and one retired before I got here, and one just retired. He was in the sign shop. So we were thinking that maybe we could put that person in there to help with the sign shop, because we really can't hire, well, I don't want to say we really can't hire. We haven't asked to replace the one because the one is not as advantageous as a highway worker 2. One's don't plow. They don't have their CDLs. So we were thinking perhaps we could put somebody into carpool. No, not carpool, sign shop. That could help with the sign shop, could help with the cleaning of the cars. And if we could hire them as a 2, they could also fill in for plowing, because we don't have full staff. So something to
Yeah.
consider.
Last year's budget, you bought quite a few shop vacs. Yes. We're here last year.
Last year, budgeted to buy a bunch of shop vacs.
A bunch of shop,
Yeah.
You said we budgeted.
Well, like
Meaning,
three,
I thought it was one big.
no, they were steam gens, we bought steam gens.
no, shop vacs.
Said shop.
No, we
Still,
wanted- all I remember about shop vacs is we wanted to buy a big fancy vacuum for the carpool out here. And you didn't want us to buy it, so we bought a shop vac. That's all, that's the only shop vac I think we've ever bought.
Okay.
But I'll look.
I think you're right.
So your other personnel request is you want to take a person that you already have
Now
on
we're gonna-
staff.
now we're
go to a
now we're
worker
gonna-
to have them fill in the sign shop, have them fill in the carpool, and have them drive snowplow truck when you need it.
Almost exactly, the guy retired, so. it's okay.
And then
What's the backfill?
So it's a backup.
Backfill.
No. Like a railroad. Got
But we're
shovel
not back.
polish. What's that?
You're not backfilling the sign.
No, but
shop,
the-
right?
Slot is still there. She wants to
So-
backfill that and have that.
But if we don't backfill that, I get you.
This guy's still gonna be there.
We haven't asked for it because we haven't talked to anybody about it, because we don't know how to deal with it, because. It's a 1 now, and you can't really fill 1 with a 2 without
Discussion.
moving him.
And the real need came from DSS and the need for those vehicles to be cleaned. And when they need them cleaned, they need them cleaned somewhat
Right.
soon, right? Because there's something that
It's not
happened
like
in the
you can
vehicle that
schedule
they
them.
need done.
Didn't realize. So.
And if we're able to do that, there is some funding that can come from DSS to help fund this position. An MOA or something like that.
Can you bring us a written proposal so we know what we're talking about?
Well, we're just putting it out there because Tammy's probably gonna bring it up too. We don't know how it's gonna work, so. We're kind of just bringing it up before it comes to personnel. And personnel, when we actually look at them, we're hoping to have something concrete. Look at it that
How do cars get cleaned now? The interior.
don't is a bigger problem. They do a little bit, but
Summer help things on the, what's the other one? Like, great.
Youth bureau, when they have.
Sometimes things.
And we did talk to Sue Maury, a couple weeks ago, and she has people for this fall, but it's just a temporary time, because they can help.
we can like get them, they can get them back in shape for a while, but then, you're basically right. It's up to the person to drive the car to get clean, which I don't think is too much of that system.
They're only driving for 1 day, they don't care.
What happens is they come back at the end of the day, and, people we've had with us had McDonald's or whatever. And so their car may not be used for another 2 days, but the stuff fits in the back, and so when they go to the car, it smells like. Well, great heaven, I've been there, done that, trying to take veterans someplace. When the vehicles, whatever, it's drawing the car in the carpool, they have to clean, because we sitting there for the last person to utilize it, or people take transport.
Was it like a school bus driver before he parks it, he walks? and-
Make sure there's no kids.
You'd
And
you'd have to have a central shop vac area where you pull in and you shop vac and then you go to the park.
I don't know that we really have that.
Right.
But I think some departments have a small vacuum or something, right?
No, there's a shop back in.
I thought it didn't really work well, is what I was. I think in most cases, they pick up bags of garbage or stuff that's left in the vehicles, but the problem is they just don't get vacuumed or cleaned, nothing gets cleaned in them. Very little anyway. And I don't know that we, expect our employees to be crawling all over the vehicle. I mean, some are able to, but some people may not physically be able to do that. In cars out.
You should expect to clean the bags of garbage out of it.
Agreed. Yeah.
Who can't clean a car? Come on.
So
Yeah, but she's probably not driving it around, taking people around.
So,
Where the position lies, but it goes into DSS, would you get payroll back from the state on that?
yeah, that's what most,
Some percentage, yes, if they're able to meet their needs. Yes, yes.
this is like first blush on a problem where they need 3 part-time positions and you're trying to get it. One part of it so that you can also have a plow truck driver. First conversation today. Got it. Second conversation tomorrow.
you'll hear it again. And Tammy may have a different. So we'll work out.
One more question, that, because having it, maybe go to sign for reason, is there, if it were DSS, would you lose out by not having?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what we can do for the sign shop, because it's always been either summer help or when we figured out where to put this highway one, because he was up in the Gordian barn.
Yeah, we couldn't get rid of it, so we actually moved it.
Person you need in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
part-time.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a person in the sign shop. And it's kind of
Sure.
similar to the DSS position. It's not a 40-hour sign shop thing. This person would be very helpful in that spot for the majority of the time. But it's an expendable position as well, where they can clean the cars at times, or they can plow snow.
Is there civil service issues / union negotiation issues that are gonna complicate this?
No, it might be a Teamster position, it might be in the union. Most of your positions over there are,
Yeah, they're plowing it, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But we also have 180 something cars, so I don't know how much free time this person could have. I don't know.
Are we gonna be paying? I don't know what it is now, $32 an hour for somebody to clean a car?
Bring us a written proposal that shows where it fits in the budget, and the personnel situation, where it costs.
You know, on overtime.
I know they've had positions at the school where the
Can't decide
person
today.
punches in and out, whatever position they're doing. I don't know if
And
that's something you
We've
can
done that
do
here, we've done that here.
when you change what you're doing.
Between what their duty is. Well, that's why I had you bring it up here, was to get direction as to what they're looking for.
so if we don't get it into the budget, we can't do it until the next budget.
In theory,
It's, yeah, that's how we try to do things. Right up.
but you've already moved an individual into the sign shop. Right?
Yeah, but they.
Oh, they
Well,
retired.
that's what she said, it's open now, so she's like,
But it's an open position, but it's still budgeted, correct?
right, but it has to be changed in a staffing manner because it was.
It is budgeted.
Right.
Okay, my point is, it's a highway one. Make it a highway 2 and more versatile, it's gonna cost us $5,000 or whatever that delta is.
No, that was the bookkeeper.
Again,
That was the bookkeeper, $5,000.
Right, so.
Oh, this position would actually be less than what we were paying months. That we did look up.
Right.
Now.
Less than one.
so it
Yes.
it doesn't sound like we have a
What's
really
the
big budget issue if you just keep the position as is and we don't get resolution on it, you still have a budget position to fill.
We just have to change the pattern in, so we don't have one. That was the point, right?
Yeah, I don't think that our intention is ever to fill the ones. I
Right,
don't know
that's-
that for sure, but. I
No,
just
that's
make
been the
assumption
intention all the
that's
time,
what
but
it
not
is.
here, that was never gonna happen.
So we'll start talking that through and bring it to you when we've got it all figured out. But you got the gist of it.
Very good.
Any more
Please
questions?
adjourn. We're adjourned. Adjourned.
Good thing.